I'm Christine from Scalp Garden. I'm the trichologist here, and you're watching Trendy with Kim Ellison.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trendy with Kim Allison. And today's guest, Christine McMillan of Scalp Garden. I am so excited to have this amazing trichologist here with me on the screen. She has so much to share with you guys. Her backstory is fascinating to me to go from hairdresser to all the things she's going to tell you she did, which you guys are going to be amazed. One was climb Kilimanjaro, which is crazy. And back to hairdressing. This is amazing. So, are you ready to be inspired, everyone? Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, yes. Excited to have you. And I know these earrings now, I'm going to be going like this all interview. So get ready, everybody. Okay. All right. All right, Christine. So, as I mentioned in the intro, you started as a hairdresser, ventured off into the military as
Mhm.
an EMR, and had some fun travels, one being Kilimanjaro. And you guys, she spent some time with the tribe, and that's all I'm going to say about that because she's going to tell you the rest. And then you returned to hair. Tell us what led you to those adventures.
One word, ADHD. So I have
Yeah.
ADHD that was undiagnosed for many years, but it's one of those things that it's also a blessing while it can cause a lot of frustration in life because it makes you uninhibited. You make choices of instant dopamine hit. While some people, it can be very problematic,
Mm.
but you can also get outside of your comfort zone because of that, because your brain's like, let's try something new. And you're not afraid to hold back and be bad at something. And so you just try it.
Oh, I love that. So tell us what did you try? What'd you do?
I did a lot of things. So I joined the military just to learn something new. So I started locally with a community emergency response team because I just wanted to support my community during emergencies. So if there's a tornado or flooding or whatever, those are the people who are microbursts of community that help support little pockets like your basic neighborhood. And then it's expanded outwards because your basic emergency services are overwhelmed. So they're not going to be able to help everybody. So it's a way to have people inside the communities help themselves, at least hold on for a little while. And then from there, I went to the state guard and did that for 3 years. And that's where I got certified to be an EMR. And so that was really cool. So I learned all kinds of stuff there, which everyone was like, why are you joining the military? But it's because I wanted to serve my community. I wanted to learn something new. And it was a really, really great experience. And then I interned on a pig farm for a while.
I
And
mean,
so I did that for, I guess, 3 or 4 years, just learning about organic farming and restorative agriculture and learning about food processes was really cool. And it's one of those things that it's really interesting as I'm going into trichology, where I talk about food and understanding where our food comes from, how it's produced, and the quality of food. And that really makes a difference. So it's been interesting to see food from the soil all the way up to trichology. So we start in the dirt and we end on the scalp, but it's so cool.
love it. Love it. And then, so your time with the tribe and climbing Kilimanjaro, how
Yeah.
was that? What led you there?
Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I wanted to try something I've never done before, and I had never at that point had lobster. So I was choosing between going to Maine and having lobster or going to Tanzania and climbing Kilimanjaro. And so I just picked Kilimanjaro. So
I mean, what a dichotomy. My God, that is quite a contrast.
right.
Geez,
It
go
was
on.
incredible. So
Sorry.
I figured while I was in Tanzania, I wanted to experience authentic Tanzania. So I wanted to get outside of just the normal tourist attractions and really get to know Tanzania and its people. And an opportunity came up for me to go live with the Maasai tribe for a while. So I did. And I went by myself, didn't speak the language, and it was a life-changing experience.
I can't even imagine. I mean, no, I don't wish I had ADHD. I'm sure I don't wish that, but because I've talked to plenty of people who do, and they're like, it has its moments, right?
Right.
But to be uninhibited, to be just a thrill-seeking, no fear, no hesitation whatsoever, because I am 100% the complete opposite of that. I promise you.
That's
So
okay.
that's incredible. And I know, Christine, many people might not see the link between these experiences and becoming a hair and scalp expert. What unique perspectives or personal skills did you gain during your time in the elements that you now apply in your work? Like, for example, is it discipline? Is it attention to detail? Deep appreciation just for the human body in general.
Right. So I think there's many different experiences from the different avenues of experience and little hobbies I guess I took on. So like I talked about nutrition as its relation to my farm experience and then the military, a lot of structure and how things work together. That's a really cool aspect of it. And I would say from working out, because I actually worked with them when I was living in the tribe, I worked as a Maasai. So I said, I'm not here to observe, I'm part of your community. So I worked. So seeing how a community can work together and seeing the incredible things that the body can do, especially under harsh conditions. So they live a very hard lifestyle. They're nomadic people. They move around. There's a lack of resources. They're not farming. They're a lot of times out in the desert. And seeing how things affect the body, and especially iron deficiency, is something that was really fascinating
Ooh.
to see in their people and how they still function. And I don't really understand how, because it's wild how they live day to day and still are very strong, very capable, very smart people.
Yeah, because iron deficiency, a deficiency here, they would go to the ends of the earth to regulate that, right? Like all of, eat animal protein, eat, or red meat rather,
Hmm?
take this supplement, get this scan, get this blood test, right? But yet here they are deficient in who knows to what degree,
Hmm.
and life is still beautiful. They're still thriving as a people.
But
That
it's
is
wild to see, even if you don't have the heady knowledge of how the body systems work and what they do, that knowledge is still there. So they have bloodletting ceremonies where they'll cut the artery in a cow and drain it into a bowl, and they all share the blood. And so it seems very like animalistic and ritualistic, but there is a distinct difference in the people after this as they're starting to get the iron from this cow. And it's a way to take nutrition from their animal without killing it. So it's a really sustainable way to get this nutrition, but they don't really truly understand. There's a deep spiritual part of it also because they have so much reverence for nature. But for them to not really fully understand what's happening biologically, but you can see the difference in the people where they're like, don't you feel so much better after this? And knowing what I know about the medical world, I'm like, it's because you guys are all deficient. You guys don't have any iron. You don't eat meat on a regular basis because they don't have refrigeration. They have no way to store it. They're out in the middle of nowhere. You have to worry about animals stealing anything that you do kill. And it's very expensive. Their cattle are their bank accounts, so you don't kill them if you don't have to. It's a very, very sacred thing, and it's amazing to see religion and culture and society and biology all married together. It was very cool.
I just got full chills when you said they drain the blood from a cow and drink it
Not all of it.
without
It's just
killing.
like a bowl.
No, no, I know, but they ingest it enough that they feel better without killing the cow. What an organic way to live, just I think the way God intended almost. I don't know. That's very interesting without knowing the reason for doing it. They're going by the vibration of the earth.
Yes.
That's what everything is put on this earth for, is to work in harmony where no one has to suffer
Right.
necessarily. And they figured it out without any books, without being skewed in any way, which I think that is incredible. Thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Christine.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the name you chose for your business, Scalp Garden. So, as a traditional hairdresser, what was the aha moment that you had that made you realize the scalp is super important?
Well, that started a long time ago. I started having clients over the years with hair loss problems, even as young as 12. I was having young kids with issues, and I was sending them to their doctor, sending them to the dermatologist, and they weren't really getting answers. And so I feel like I have to learn everything. So what did I do? I went to school so I could start helping people. But it's one of those things that you know something's wrong, you know something's going on, but you don't know where to send people. And then even if you do send people to traditional routes of care, they don't always have specialization in hair loss, in scalp conditions. And so they kind of just tell you to minoxidil about it. And it's so much bigger than that. And everybody's body is so nuanced. And so having someone who can take the time and really look at the broad spectrum of what's going on in their life, nutrition, lifestyle, all your habits, that all matters. It's holistic. So it all works together. So looking at just one body system, I feel like is not really the move, but it's a nice tool in the tool chest to be able to have a trichologist working with a dermatologist, working with your GP, if they will work with each other, which that doesn't always happen. But when it does, chef's kiss.
I love that. And I do know that the body is a computer. It's full of systems. And if one system isn't working, it's the body is one whole piece. In other words, again, full of systems. The cardiovascular system, the immune system, the adrenal system, all the systems. So when one thing isn't working, it could be a different system, not necessarily even in that family of what you're trying to address. So, yeah, I completely understand that. So, you realized the importance the scalp has, obviously, right? And it's trending right now. Was it a particular client or a recurrent issue that you kept seeing that made you say, I've got to go to school now to get my trichologist license? Like, hands down, got to do it.
It was many. It was many because it's if you have one that you send off and they're like the doctor's like, I don't know, you're fine. You trust the doctor, which I'm not saying don't trust the
Right.
doctor. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying in this situation, they said, you're fine, don't worry about it. But it was something that always stayed in the back of my mind. And then over time, you get another client and another client and another client and another client, and it's becoming more and more. I feel like hair loss has ramped up specifically in the last 5 years since COVID. After infections, just the stress levels, our world is different, our nervous systems are different, how our society functions is different. And as a whole, hair loss is ramping up and it's wild.
Is there a specific, though, can you think of a client where something was chronic, like the specific issue itself that you discovered? Okay, is it psoriasis? Is it contact dermatitis? Or what was it specifically? Can you think of anything?
Well, I guess in the last 2 years specifically, and I was so nervous to tell her this because I was still relatively new to trichology. And so I was telling her something is wrong with your body. You need to have this investigated. Have your doctors look at this, and this, and this. And as they started looking into things, they're like, you have lupus, which is wild because I cannot tell
Mm.
you you have lupus, but I'm like, this is who you should talk to and this is what they should look for. And so having someone who can go to their doctor and start being insistent, because you do have to advocate for your own care. It's terrible that that's the way our system works, but you have to
Mm.
actively advocate for yourself. And so I emboldened her to say, don't take no for an answer, get these questions answered, and we'll go from there. And it ended up being lupus. And so like that's life-changing information for someone with lupus going from chronic suffering to a place of a little bit of homeostasis and balance in their life. So it's not just hair, it's your whole body being improved, your life being improved. And so sometimes your hair and scalp are just the signaler. They're just that part of your body talking, saying, hey, something's wrong, and you need to listen.
Oh my God, you're an amazing, just not only human being, but your clients, what a gem they have in you because you go beyond the chair, and a lot of hairdressers don't do that. So, what was the process in becoming a licensed trichologist like? Like, you know, how did the additional knowledge transform like your approach with your clients?
Well, I was afraid that it was an ADHD impulse at first. So I started with a hair loss practitioner course through Trico EDU is where I started. Because I wanted just to get my feet wet and see how I felt about it. And then trying to decide what type of trichology are you going to try to practice? Because there are many different facets of trichology, just like any field. There are different, like as doctors, you have specialists who specialize in different things. And for me, I wanted to go very biology heavy. So that meant a lot of studying, a lot of reading, a lot of writing essays and papers. And those papers, shout out to my professors, they were wild because one of my papers about how vitamin C is used in the body, they wanted a little bit of background about vitamin C. So I talked about its origins and how the wife of the guy who found vitamin C in peppers should also have gotten a Nobel Prize because it was her who made the dinner who he didn't want to eat the peppers. And so he took it to the lab to test it instead. So I'm like, she should have gotten a prize too. but,
Oh my God, that's amazing.
right?
Absolutely.
But the
Yes.
connection between that and then at the end of it, we went all the way into like how amphetamines are affected by vitamin C. And so it's wild how the body works. There are so many intricate systems. And yeah, shout out to my professors because those papers were wild.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's amazing. So, how long did that take to get through your trichology courses?
It depends. It depends because a lot of them are self guided. So it really depends on how driven you are, how much time you have, and how much you're dedicated to learning something new and then able to apply it and retain it. So for me, each of them, like hair loss specialist, didn't take me that long. So like that, what I would say, like you can get it done in probably 6 months. Trichology, I've got 2 certifications in trichology. So one with IAT and one with Trico EDU. And so each of those took me about a year and a half to 2 years. And then, because I really wanted to know, not just pass the test and jump, I wanted to understand, to retain the information, to be able to use that information. So yeah, that. And then after I was done with those, I got a board certification through the American Naturopathic Medical Certification Board. So that was like super validating as this outside source that was not any part of my education was like, yes, you know what you're talking about. Yes, this is correct. Yes, you got this, girl. So, like, there's something so empowering about that because I think we all struggle with imposter syndrome.
Oh, 100%. And thank you for identifying all the letters next to your name, which I think that is so impressive. I have no letters next to my name. Like,
Yes, you do. TWKA, babe.
hey, that's right. Journalist. I'm just kidding. My husband literally hates every time I say that. I'm like, hey, you just wait.
It's
I ain't done.
true.
Thank you. All right. Not all trichologists are hairdressers. We know that.
Hmm.
Do you think your background as a hairdresser has given you a unique perspective in trichology?
Yes.
Because if you're not a hairdresser and you're just a trichologist, I think you probably do have an advantage, right?
Yes. So I think it's twofold. I think you have it from a technical sense where you understand the processes and the chemical things that happen in a salon. So you can also give someone guidance as far as what they should be doing, what they
Mhm.
shouldn't be doing, and sometimes giving some tips to their stylist as their hair is changing. So as your hair is changing from fully terminal hairs, these thick, juicy hairs, and they're
Mm.
miniaturizing, you cannot treat them the same way. And so being able to have that background and be able to give that insight as someone's hair is changing to be like, hey, heads up, these things need to change in your life, even if it's temporary, just so you can prevent further damage. I think that is super, super important. And I think also cosmetologists and hair design people are all very people oriented. And so I think you approach it very differently, seeing it as a whole person and seeing the people and relating to people as people is a lot easier versus in a medical setting. It's very biological, it's very sterile, it's a very different approach as far as how you interact with the client. So I think there's a major advantage of cosmetologists and hairstylists to be able to connect on that level with people much faster.
Oh yeah, and then too with hairdressers, they feel they share more with you. We're like a bartender. You
Hmm.
know, you're not gonna in a doctor's office, you have white coat syndrome. You can't get out of there fast enough.
Right.
In a hair salon, we can't get them to leave. We're like, okay, my next client is here. Okay, bye. So
Truly.
I totally get that personalized piece. Before we move away from this topic, your trichology education and just being a trichologist and all the amazing things in general, if someone watching says, I'm a hairdresser, I want to become a trichologist, what are the steps from hairdresser to trichologist?
I think that really depends on your learning type. So being honest with yourself about how do I learn? How do I work best while learning? If you need community, if you need something that's a little bit more independent and you're on your own and you don't talk to anyone, knowing that first so you can choose the right program for yourself. Because if you choose a program that's not suited for you, you're not going to be successful. So finding something
Mm,
that being really honest, because it's hard to be honest with ourselves. You're like, oh yeah, I got this. I can do this. Great. Because a
mhm,
lot of it is very self driven. So are you a driven
mhm.
person? What kind of accountability do I need to have? What kind of learning environment is best for me? So really breaking it down as to what you need, breaking down what you want to learn, and then finding something from there.
Is it a program? Is it college? Do they require any type of prerequisites
No
to
prerequisites
be a
required. So you can just
okay.
jump in and become a trichologist. So there are several different schools that you can go to. I would 100% say check your backgrounds, look at some reviews, talk to people who have done it, and find something that feels like it aligns with you because they're all very different programs. They all have different points of view. And so finding something that's right for you is very important. But you don't need to have any prerequisites. You can just sign up. It's helpful. It's very helpful if you have some anatomy and physiology. So, like, depending
Oh
on which
yeah.
program you have, it can be very biology heavy. So, it's helpful to have that background, but it's not fully necessary. They'll teach you.
Oh nice. Okay. Perfect. Okay, future trichologist out there. All right, there you go. What are some of the most common myths or mistakes people make when it comes to their scalp health?
Oh, okay. I'm going to get blown up for
You
this.
like, don't get me started. Yeah.
I'm going to get in so much trouble for this, but I am not
Oh,
for
I love trouble. I love trouble. Bring it on. Bring it. Bring it to me. All the trouble.
I am not for scalp oiling. I think there is a lot of harm that can be made with
Oh.
that. So the oil can feed yeast and bacteria. So it can feed seborrheic dermatitis. It can cause all kinds of problems. And so while scalp oiling has its place, very few people actually need it. There's a lot of other things that can be done that are a little bit more helpful based on what's actually going on. And sometimes people are like, oh, my scalp is dry. I need to put oil on it. And it's not, it's seborrheic dermatitis.
Mm.
So it's basically a yeast colony on your scalp. It's called malassezia that is just shedding all these flakes and like, oh, it's dry and flaky. No, 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 no. Those are colonies. Yikes. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh, days. So that's seborrheic dermatitis.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I never quite knew the full scope of what that actually was. Even if with scalp oiling, even if you leave it on as a treatment and then clarify it 30 minutes later, you still don't recommend it at all. To
That's
no
fine.
oil on the scalp.
That's fine. So at most
Okay.
overnight. So some people will put it on and sleep in it and shampoo it out the next day, but make sure you really get it out. And so oil, if you look at all, I mean, I'm an 80s baby, so we saw the commercials with like animals covered in oil and stuff and Dawn showing how it gets it off because it's so hard to remove. I'm not saying use Dawn by
Yeah.
any stretch of the imagination, but you have to be a little bit more aggressive in your cleansing because a lot of our cleansers are not as harsh as they used to be. They don't have the same surfactants and surfactants in it. And so they're a lot gentler. And so one shampoo with a normal shampoo on top of oil, you're just getting half the oil off. You still haven't cleansed the scalp, you haven't gotten all the oil off, and you can have a problem.
I know, Christine, you often speak on Instagram about holistic health and its connection to the scalp. As a trichologist, you don't just see the hair, you see the whole person. So we talked about that. Can you walk us through the investigative process? Like how do you look beyond the surface level issues you see in the salon to uncover the causes of a client's scalp issues?
Well, one, we actually look under the surface with scopes. So we'll use technology to actually look and see what's going on because you can kind of macro view, look at somebody, and micro view is not the same because it's got its own unique biome and you can see exactly what's going on within the scalp. But I'll also ask you about your lifestyle. What are you doing for stress mitigation? Not dissociation, because people think, oh, I watch TV, I sit down and just like play games or whatever. And that is stress relief. It's not. That's dissociation, which has its place. So having times of dissociation can be restful, but it is not
Mhm.
processing the stress out of your body. There should be joyful movement, there should be journaling, there should be some way to get it out of your body. And so that's something as a culture we don't do very well. So one of the things that I
Mhm.
recommend for people is 15 minutes a day of joyful movement. whatever that means. You're not saying you have to go to the gym. You can literally just shimmy your shoulders for 15 minutes, play with your dog, dance, whatever makes you happy, but it has to bring you joy for 15 minutes every day, moving your body. And so that's one
Oh
of the
my
things.
gosh.
And then I will ask you about your poop. So you're going to sit in my chair. I'm going to ask you how much you poop, how often, what's the consistency like, because your gut is very connected to your scalp health. And if the bottom part of your GI tract is not working correctly, you've got a problem. So even if you're eating the right things, is your body processing it? Are you able to use the tools that you're giving your body to build the hair? Or is there a problem we need to address?
Who would have thunk it?
There's a
Poop,
lot of poop talking
poop, poop, and scalp. Yeah. Oh, the poop is at the forefront these days. Like we've got images now.
I'm
We've
not
got
getting that. No, that's too close. I'll just ask you.
yes, exactly. You're like, I'm good. I don't need any pictures. I've heard you mention cranky scalp is common, with the changing of the seasons.
Mhm.
So, what are the simple, effective things people can do to combat this?
Okay, so one of the things that can happen with the changing of the seasons is the humidity lowers, and as we're turning heat on, our humidity inside the house can be really dry air that's just not getting that moisture at all. And so you need to get water inside your body by drinking it first. Drink your water, people. But also having
Yeah.
some ambient moisture can be really helpful. So even if it's just turning on a little bit of a humidifier or a simmer pot, just to keep the air in your house from getting super dry, because that'll be good for your hair and your scalp. Because our bodies like to live in harmony with water. And so having been cut off from water, they get a little cranky about it. And then we're changing our styling habits. We're usually changing our fabrics too. So what we wear in the summer is not the same as what we wear in the winter. So what we wear in the summer is a lot of times very thin jerseys and slick materials that your hair can glide over it. Because as a trichologist, I'll dress your scalp, but I'm also going to talk about all of your hair too. So if you're putting on a
Mm,
flannel shirt that has the collar and it's sitting here rubbing, breakage probably will happen. So you have to protect yourself
yes.
from the harsher fabrics of winter. Also, no flannel pillowcases, guys. Absolutely no. Throw them away.
Oh yeah, because you get all those warm fabrics to
Yep.
sleep in, like the jersey and all of that. Oh gosh, yeah, that will tear the fibers. The
Mhm.
cuticle will just be
Shredded.
angry. I get
Shredded.
it. Shredded. Oh
Yes.
geez, do you hear that, everybody? I mean, take heed to her warning. So, what is the one thing people get wrong about their hair washing routines in all of this?
They don't do it enough a lot of times. So we have a
Ah,
very heavy-handed approach to dry shampoo. So I don't hate
mm,
on dry shampoo once in a while, but we're using it instead of shampooing, which is not where we should go. A lot of times if your scalp is itchy, wash it. It's your body signaling saying, "Hey, I need to slough off some of this dead skin. I need to get some of these particles off me. I can't breathe. I need assistance." So if your hair is itchy, please wash it. Don't just ignore it. It's a request. And easy with that dry shampoo. It's fine in a pinch once in a while, but at this point,
mhm.
especially with extensions, I feel like people are going so long without washing their hair because they don't want to wash their extensions, which it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do it well so you have very healthy hair, but please wash your scalp.
And how do you know the difference between itchy body saying, I need to be clean versus itchy, I've got a condition?
Well, for me, I like to do a lot of conditioning from the inside. So making sure that you're getting your omegas in. So be careful for people who have shellfish allergies because a lot of omega vitamins are going to be derived from seafood. But getting your omegas inside because you have to give your body an ability to lubricate itself. So you have moisture and you have hydration, and they're not the same. So moisture is going to be your oils and your lipids, and your hydration is going to be your water. So making sure that you have both within your body. But the first thing I want to talk to people about, if your scalp is itchy and you think it's because it's too dry, turn down your shower. It's too hot. Cool it down. We are burning that scalp. If you have that extremely
Ah.
hot water, it's going to pull out all the oils, it's going to damage the skin, and it's going to cause some problems. Now, some people actually have a legitimately dry scalp, and that's where a serum can be helpful. But not washing your hair is not the best approach these days.
Mm. And what's the overall proper way to cleanse your scalp?
Lots and lots and lots of water. I think our shampoos have changed so much over the years. So it used to be very heavy in the sulfates and surfactants. And so that was really just pulling all the stuff out of our hair. So we got
Mm.
lazy. We build bad habits by we're just like, oh, yep, da, 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 and then fine. But chemically, how shampoo works is it's a binder. So it's going to bind your oil and dirt molecule to a water molecule. And so if you don't have enough water, it's not going to pull it off your hair. So making sure you start with a really good rinse and just rinsing your hair and working the scalp with your fingertips, not your nails, and working the scalp before you even add any shampoo. And then working the shampoo, add a little bit more water, then work the shampoo again, and then rinse, 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 rinse. Because if you're not using enough water, it's not going to work. And same thing with conditioners, because the way chemically conditioners work is they bind water and bring it into the hair cuticle. So if you don't have enough water, you got a problem and you're just throwing your money away.
No, that makes perfect sense. And can you debunk the myth that conditioner either goes on the scalp or should not go on the scalp?
Traditional conditioners should not go on the scalp because they can cause a
Okay.
lot of inflammation. They can clog your pores. But there are some that can go on the scalp. So it really depends on which kind of conditioner you're using. It should say on the bottle what its purpose is. But for most people, I tell them conditioner is from the ears down because you have your natural oils from your scalp. If you're still producing sebum correctly, that should be keeping this hydrated, moisturized. And this is where it's no longer next to the skin. It doesn't get the same exposure to the oils and needs some extra help.
Yeah, so the cap, stay away from that. And
Mhm.
then we can just address anything further, is what
Yep.
you're saying. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, good to know. Actually, this old gal learned something new. I love that. All righty. So, what are the early warning signs that someone might have that should warrant they see a trichologist? Like what should we be looking for? Just the average hairdresser or home user?
If you're seeing one thing that can be really easy for a hairdresser to notice, if someone is starting to have hair loss, you're using the same formula you've used on them for years. So this is going to be a lot of your like root retouches that you've used 6N on them forever, and it's starting on
Mm-hmm.
this front hairline, starting to get darker and darker and darker and darker. That's a sign of miniaturization of that hair. So while it's always been the same formula, but it's starting to look like a 2 when it was a 6, there's something happening and changing in that hair. So they are having some changes, and widening of the part is one of those things where you're like, there's more skin here. Or if you're starting to see papules, pustules, definitely pass it on.
Okay, so pass it on to, and how would one find a trichologist? Is that just a simple Google search, or do you have a secret directory that we could share with the audience? Like, where do we go to find a good trichologist?
That's tricky because it depends also on your personal ethos of what you consider a good trichologist. But if you have school of thoughts that you find helpful, a lot of them will have a directory. So, like IAT has a directory, Trico EDU has a directory. So, there are directories of people, but the best way is to get to know someone in your area. I'm personally in the point of where I'm trying to build relationships with the salons around me because I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm just trying to support them. And so I think it's hard because not everybody does a good job of having an online presence. And so it can be really
Mm,
tricky. So one of the best places to start, I think, would be like an IAT directory and go from there.
okay, and then just like we know a good doctor from one who's not. Are we looking for bedside manner? Are we looking for education? Are we looking for how many certifications they have? What leans toward the better trichologist without being judgmental?
So for
Yeah.
me, it's someone who's a little bit more in tune with the biology of what's happening because understanding why something happens, you can make informed decisions versus like, we'll just try this and see what happens. So a biology focused trichologist versus more of just like a, I don't know, try it and see what happens, I guess. But if you're
Yes.
in doubt, send them an email. Ask them about, hey, what do you believe? How do you practice? What's important to you? And build a relationship that way because anyone who is worth your time should be able to talk to you and give you an idea of exactly what you're signing up for because why would you just go somewhere and be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
them. If they don't have an online presence, ask them and say, hey, what do you offer, and do you offer evidence-based? That's something that is very important for me is I need evidence-based treatment. So if there isn't as evidence to support it, that's not something that I do in my space because you can do all kinds of things with vibes, but then it's just a placebo effect. I want something that is quantifiable, something that is definitely this works and we can prove it.
Oh, yeah. And that's where I was leading to. So you answered that just beautifully because I thought, what tools should we take with us when we're trying to find a good trichologist? Even if you are sending the email where you want to ask the questions, like what questions are important. So, yeah, I think you gave us a beautiful illustration of that. Thank you so much
That
for
was a
that.
tough one.
All right. Yeah, no, but yay, girl, you know your stuff. All righty. I mean, 100% clearly you know your stuff. All right, Christine, you named the name Scalp Garden, your background, Scalp Garden. I wish you were in Arizona, but you're not. All righty. So the name Scalp Garden, it is evocative. It suggests nurturing growth and a connection to nature. What does tending to the scalp like a garden mean to you, and how does it inform the way you approach your clients and their hair health?
Well, the scalp is a garden. So, like, that is your soil base. And so, if you do not have a healthy base, you're not going to grow great flowers. And so, for me, it's just a way to have like a word picture of showing the relationship of scalp health to hair health. And that's something that's really important. Also, I love plants. I don't know if you see them all in my space here.
I do, and I just give it all to me. It's giving life. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. But also,
Oh, I have one too.
oh,
She's
there
new.
it is.
Yeah, she's
And
new.
so for me also, I will try to go as natural as possible when it's helpful and efficacious. So like
Mm,
if it's not going to be effective, then let's not do it. But I also think that like just because something's natural doesn't mean it's good because you can have all kinds of natural things that can harm you. So you have to have the knowledge to understand that more isn't better, but if I can help it, I will go more natural route than anything else. So for me, minoxidil is never my first round of action just because I don't like its side effects. I don't love medications. If we can find a way to go around that where we don't need it, great. But I'm also in the camp that I'm not full holistic, where I'm like, minoxidil is the absolute devil. It's just a last resort for me, if that makes sense.
no, it does.
And so in my
Yeah, and
space,
it
I have a lot of commitment to natural, but also being good for the environment too. So the choices that I make in my space are made to make sure I'm not wasting. So I've got a lot of recycling programs and being very careful with how I consume. So the garden is a big garden. It's a
oh
literal
my
garden and
God.
it's a, I guess, a mindset.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And you mentioned incorporating elements like tea, mocktails, and weighted blankets for your clients.
Mhm.
So amazing. How does creating this personalized, holistic experience enhance the treatment and the educational process for your clients?
For one, it changes the power dynamic. So I think when you go to a doctor, you're sitting down, they're standing up over you. It's an inequitable movement of power. So I like to sit face to face with my clients and being on their level, and it gives them a sense of comfort in that we're doing this together. It's not something that I'm doing to you. This is something we're doing together in a collaborative space. And even being a paramedical environment, some people have what you referred to earlier, white coat syndrome, where it just feels so jarring, so aggressive. So to have something cozy, to have something soft can help bring that down a little bit. I also have a basket of fidget toys that I keep out on my station because this is something, hair loss and scalp concerns is something that really affects people down to their core, down to who they think the world perceives them as. And so it's very deeply personal. It's not just, oh, you don't like my pink shirt. It's, oh, you don't like me as a person because of how I present to the
Mm.
world. And so that is a very vulnerable place. So giving yourself moments of comfort and reaffirmation that you are good and your body is good, even when it is not working well, is super important. And so I think having a cozy environment definitely helps open that conversation and you can actually get down to the root of things and be a little bit more intimate, especially because I'm going to ask you about some really personal things. So, like, feeling like I am safe is really important. And I think it's very important for hairstylists, trichologists, everybody to have a little bit of trauma informed care because it's one of those things that you don't know what someone's been through. And so, touching someone is an extremely sensitive and a very intimate exchange. And so, doing it in a way that feels safe, that feels like they have consent. And that's something that I'm very big on. You come sit in my chair and I'm going to ask for consent before I even touch you. Even though it's understood, I'm going to touch you, I'm going to ask for consent, because giving that consent, giving that power to them, because ultimately it is their body, is very important. And that helps bring everything to be a little bit more cozy. And the sympathetic nervous system is actually very interlaced with hair loss. And so calming that sympathetic nervous system, letting your body know it's safe, and so we can sink into rest and digest versus fight or flight, is super important.
The hair is like the stepchild of the
Mm-hmm.
body, I feel. That's what I call it. Because when the body is prioritizing what's important that it focuses on,
Mm-hmm.
that's why sometimes I know we lose hair.
Yes.
It's like, I don't need to work on that. That's
Yes.
like the least of my worries
Right.
because I got this to deal with, this organ, what have you, right?
It's a
And
non-essential
so
system.
yeah, non-essential. Thank you. That's
Mm-hmm.
such a great way, a better way of putting it and packaging it into this neat little package. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
All right, diagnoses. I have a personal client of mine. On her temple area, it is very scalpy,
Mm-hmm.
although the back is full, right? The temple area is very scalpy. I get what she's seeing, but when you blow dry it out, no one else knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is noticeably, and it has worsened a tad bit. What would you tell this person?
Okay, so first and foremost, a trichologist is not allowed to diagnose. I can tell you what it
Okay.
looks like, but I can't diagnose it. But
It's twofold.
uh-huh.
It's not necessarily diagnosing her because I'm a hairdresser and not a trichologist.
Mm-hmm.
But if you being a trichologist, you got that extra expertise. What does that conversation look like in your chair?
That's
Does
tricky
that make
because I
sense?
also don't think that it's irreversible. There are things that can be done to beef up that hair, to bring back sleeping follicles, as long as the follicle isn't capped. So the body will cap the follicle if it's destroyed the stem cells. So as long as the stem cells have not been destroyed, you can bring it back. And so I don't think that accepting it and being like, I'm in menopause, I'm in perimenopause, I just have to take it. No, you don't. No, you don't. But definitely go to a trichologist, because a lot of them are trained also in functional ranges. So you can bring your lab work with you, because some what can be considered lab normal and what's considered optimal for hair growth are not the same. And so the doctor might not see it as a red flag, but for me, there are some labs that I'm like, oh no, this is definitely a red flag. So sometimes it can be nutritional, sometimes it can be lifestyle, it can be stress levels, it can be way you eat or how your body's digesting things or hormonal shifts. But just because your hair is thinning doesn't mean you have to take it.
Oh, good news. All right. I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
tell your
All righty.
girl there's hope.
All right, there's hope as long as it's not capped. We love that.
Hmm?
Absolutely. And when we were in Korea over the summer, my husband had stem cells injected into his scalp. Isn't
Hmm.
that interesting? His
I
own
loved
stem
seeing your
cells.
episodes about that. That was so cool.
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, oh, that's so cool. Thank you. Thank you for the view. All right. So, what kind of content, speaking of all of that? Because Instagram, the monster, I call it, because it has decided that I will not have any more than the following count I have for the rest of my Instagram life. I don't know what it's doing, but since April, I can get 150 followers and it'll take 200. If I get 200, it'll take 250. It just keeps me right where I'm at no matter what. And it is, I don't know. I don't get it. Anywho, but I still get on it every single day. Look at me. So for you Christine with Scalp Garden's platform, what kind of content resonates the most with your audience?
I mean, I think a lot of content that is informative. It talks a little bit
Mhm.
about what's going on with their bodies. And there's a lot of the content that resonates is the solidarity of you are not alone. This is not something purely happening
Mm.
to you. And that you should not reduce yourself just because of hair loss. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy your life. You shouldn't go in public. You shouldn't take pictures. You shouldn't go swimming. You should live your life and you're full of value with or without your hair. But let me help you.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. What is your ultimate goal, Christine, for Scout Garden? Are you focused on one-on-one client care, or do you have bigger ambitions for product launch or an educational launch? What's your goal for Scout Garden?
My passion is working with clients one-on-one because I think people being seen, people being heard, and people being helped is at the top of my heart. Do I think at some point I might do a product launch? Maybe, if I think there's a gap in what's out there, because I also don't believe that I have to sell what's out there. If it's going to be helpful, I just want people to get the solutions they need, whether I can sell it or not, because developing a quality, really quality product is extremely expensive too. So if
Hmm.
I find in my career that there is a gap in care and there's something missing, then maybe I'll take that step. But at this point, I've found most of what I'm looking for. So I'll just stick with that for right now.
Okay. And you don't have any aspirations to teach other people how to do what you do?
Really? Not at this point, but girl, I didn't aspire to be in the military or to live with a Maasai. So who knows?
I don't count anything out with you, Christine. Like literally, if I see you running for president, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that
Absolutely.
tracks. That
No,
tracks."
absolutely
Yeah.
no. Absolutely no.
Yeah. For I know who would want that job, not
No.
me.
Uh-uh.
All right, for our final, just for my final thought and takeaway for you, if you could give our listeners just one actionable piece of advice to improve their scalp health today, what would it be?
Mm. Eat the rainbow. So make sure you're eating all different colors. It's very easy in today's culture to eat beige, 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 beige. Everything's white and beige, but get as many different colors in as possible. Getting your fresh veggies, getting your fresh fruits, and you're going to have your meats. And so, like, a very diverse diet is a great place to start because there's so many amino acids, so many minerals that are required to build hair and for your body to function well. So let's get it in.
All right, I love that. And I love to end the episodes with a game. And I have been playing around with new games. So it was my 60-second blowout, but I'm playing around with this new one called What Would You Do?
Oh
All
no.
righty. So, yeah, you thought you were prepared, didn't you? Watching other episodes, but no, here I come.
Let's
All
go.
righty. So I'm going to ask you, what would you do? All right. Are
Okay.
you ready, Christine?
No, let's go.
All right. All right. What would you do if you woke up one morning and could understand every dog's thoughts and all they could talk about was their owner's hair and scalp?
I don't know, because I feel like dogs would talk about their owners a lot. I feel like I would have to find like a place off by myself because I feel like it would just be very noisy.
All right. What would you do if the floor of your salon suddenly turned into lava?
Oh,
And the only way to save yourself and your clients was to use your hairdressing tools. What would you do?
I mean, I'd probably make some skis with some foils, maybe.
Hey, that's actually clever. I like that. All righty. Celebrity, I think I would use my blow dryer. I don't know. Would that work? Would
I
that
don't,
give
I
us like
mean,
a
it's
an aisle?
hypothetical, of course.
All righty. You switch bodies with a celebrity for 24 hours, Christine.
Mhm.
Their hair is a total mess, and all you have, and you have all of your trichologist knowledge. What's the first thing you do?
Ooh, that's a tough question because then I have to pick a celebrity first. I
Yeah.
mean, I might start with Weird Al. He could use a conditioning treatment.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, in facts. All right. What would you do if a shampoo you created accidentally made everyone's hair stand straight up like a hedgehog? What would you do?
Right.
All right. What would you do if you were forced to wear a single ridiculous hairstyle for the rest of your life?
I mean, you find a way to own it, rock it.
That's good. Good attitude. You're healthy. All right. What would you do if your scissors, combs, or trichoscope suddenly have the power to reveal a person's deepest secret with every snip or scan?
Ooh, I don't know if I could handle that. That's a lot. I mean, people
What would you
tell
do
you a
though?
lot, but like, oof.
You'd be like, oh, I'm sweating.
Yes.
All
People don't
right.
need help. They
Are-
tell me already.
yeah. Before we go, where can people find you? That is the
Oh.
most important thing. How can they find your beautifulness?
You can find me on Facebook or on Instagram at Scalp Garden.
All right, you guys, and don't worry, I'm going to have her back again for other topics where we just tackle one topic and really dig into that. So get ready for that treat in the future, you guys. Until next time, bye, Christine.
Bye.